Welcome back to the We Are Here podcast. I'm Paul.
I'm Tony.
We're so glad that you're joining us, and this is a podcast specifically with the goal of celebrating Streator, of telling people about our town, giving our city a voice, letting people tell their stories. And today we're excited to have Judy Booz with us from the Streator Salvation Army. Judy is the director there, and she has the privilege of and the joy of working with people in Streator who are most at need. The Salvation Army is a big organization, and the Streator location is just one part of it. And so the Salvation Army is working all over the world doing youth camps and no-cost adult rehab centers, all sorts of different things that Judy will tell you about. But we just wanted to highlight some of those things for you here. And so this is an enjoyable conversation.
This was great. She opened up the doors to me for the Salvation Army.
Absolutely.
There's way more going on there than I even realized. So I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to let her talk about that. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in once again and enjoy the podcast.
Welcome back to the We Are Here podcast. We're here today with Judy Booz, who is, I'll let you introduce yourself in a second here, but I just want to talk about your organization first. And what we're here for today is to celebrate Streator and all of the good things that are happening in our town, and those people who, Judy is certainly one of those people who make Streator an even better place to live through the work that she does with the Salvation Army. We want to give our city a voice and let people tell their stories, and so Judy's going to share with us her connection with Streator today, and of course build bridges and can make those connections, which we already have a great connection through the Streator Ministerial Association. But first I want to tell a little bit about the Salvation Army, and I collected deep research. I went on to Wikipedia.
Oh, that is deep.
Deep research. Did some deep research on the Salvation Army, but according to my sources at Wikipedia, the Salvation Army is a Protestant church and international organization with over 1.7 million members worldwide. It is the fourth largest charity and the largest non-government provider of social services in the U.S. and widely recognized as one of the largest distributors of humanitarian aid in the world, with a presence in 133 countries.
Wow.
That's amazing. From over $2 billion in private donations in 2022 alone, Salvation Army assisted over 32 million people in the U.S. alone, that's like almost 10% of the country. I mean, that's amazing. That's incredible. And in addition to funding feeding centers, homeless shelters, rehabilitation centers, and community centers, disaster relief, the Salvation Army establishes refugee camps, especially among displaced people on the continent of Africa. Salvation Army is well known for its network of thrift stores and charity shops, which raise money for its rehabilitation programs by selling donated used items such as clothing, housewares, and toys. And so Judy Booz is here today with us from the Streator branch of the Salvation Army. And so, Judy, we've worked together on many different facets of charity work in Streator, and of course the Red Kettle campaign and all sorts of different things through the Salvation Army and our work together in the Ministerial Association. And so we're very glad to have you with us today. And so why we chose Judy, I'll say this and then I'll let you talk because I've talked too much already. But Judy has a very unique perspective from those in our city who not only serve, but those who are in need of services, who are suffering and who are suffering from homelessness and mental health and sort of all these issues that we see in our society, and how the two can not only how those who can serve, but how they can be impacted, but also how we can impact the lives of others in need. And then as a leader in the Salvation Army locally, Judy is involved daily in those needs of those people in our community that have a need. And so we want to talk a little bit about that today, but I'll stop talking for a moment and I'll let you talk because you are our guest. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, your connections with Streator, what you do at the Salvation Army. We can talk a little bit about that, and we'd love to hear from you now. So,
well, I am a transplant. 23 years ago, my family moved here to Streator. I had never heard of Streator or been in the state of Illinois. I was
Wow.
raised over in a small town by Omaha, Nebraska, and I met my husband in college, and we lived all over and traveled all over. But when I moved here in 2000, I had a special connection here. I was never missing my former home. I settled in here just right away with my family, and after living here 23 years, I have my closest friends here. I feel like it's very much home. I've never lived anywhere this long or in a home this long, so I enjoy Streator. I think I have fresh eyes to some things because of not being here my entire life, but that is also an asset, Paul.
Yeah.
That's a good thing
Yeah.
that you've been here and understand. Streator has a unique culture. We moved here because my husband became the pastor of First Assembly of God, which is located in the old Wilson School building. And then he transitioned in 2016 to teaching and education of ministers. So we just stayed in the community, and primarily because I'm an employee of the Salvation Army and very, very much enjoy what I'm doing. I said when I started this position, I said, I think I was born to do this because I really love people. I love doing what I'm doing.
Isn't that a great feeling? It's like I was made for this, and finding that thing in life that you were made for.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic to hear.
Yes, I know that comes from God, because I also had just very much a physical feeling of peace when I took this challenge on. And it was an uphill climb of learning. And I'm learning every day, actually, because every situation is different. But that's my story.
Fantastic.
That's how I ended up here.
So tell us your official title with the Salvation Army. What is your role and your title, and what do you do day to day through that role?
I'm the director of the Streator Salvation Army. The Salvation Army, like you said, is very big.
Yeah.
I'm an employee. Officers are clergy. Ottawa has some officers, but I am an employee, and I oversee the daily operation, the daily things that we do at the Salvation Army. We have a very ongoing client choice food pantry, which I think is a great way to do food pantries where people can come in and get what they see they need. That way, if they I see in Streator many times people that are not unhoused, that are not sleeping in different situations, and they don't have the ability to cook. So we always keep a microwave meal on hand so that we can say, hey, you want something hot for lunch? And they're like, oh, yeah. So we do that regularly. Sure, pretty much every day, every other day, we give somebody something hot to eat. And those folks, they need the things you don't have to cook, the sandwiches, the granola bars. Some of our very kind people at Kroger's give us sandwiches, and that's great to give people. But if you're thinking about ever donating to a food pantry, some of the unmet needs are like can openers, tin foil so somebody can wrap up their food and cook it outside. A lot of canned goods are given, but if you don't have a can opener, you can't open them. So unless they have that pop top. So I'm always thinking about that kind of thing.
Just the practical needs.
The practicals.
The physical needs as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
We were at the Salvation Army a couple weeks ago. My wife was there picking up some stuff for the boys, and it was probably not very busy at the time we were there, but there was so much going on.
Yeah.
You had people browsing. I think somebody came in for a shower, and you were on top of it all. It was amazing to watch. Like you'd go deal with this, and then you'd come back in and say, "Oh, do you need help finding anything or all this?" And then we bought our stuff, and it was amazing to watch. I was like, I couldn't. It's too much for me. I couldn't handle it. It was too much multitasking.
It is amazing everything that you and your team accomplished in that space, because you've got a store running, you've got people coming in to receive donations, people coming in, like Tony said, for showers and personal hygiene, and I think you do classes there, I think too, or education services or some things like that. I know you have that kind of classroom space in there as well, or boardroom kind of space, or whatever you want to call that. But it's incredible, the food pantry, all those things, and it's not that big of a building either. Like you look at it from the outside, and it's like, wow, they do all that in that place. Wow, it's amazing, but very well run and very well organized, and of course you keep it that way, and so we appreciate you for doing that. So, you transplant from Streator, so you kind of have to Streator, so you kind of have the outsider's perspective. But you've been here long enough and kind of have enough of a view of the city. So what do you love about Streator, and what makes this a great place to live and to serve here and to be here with your family?
Well, the culture of Streator is giving, very giving people, and I get to see that. They're a group of overall very kind and giving people, hardworking bunch of people in Streator. I see the crises, a lot of people, but if someone sees a single crisis, they can meet that, but easily. But I see an overall many situations that people are in. But Streator, when I moved here, I was like, wow, the conveniences. Because I moved from a little town where I had to drive 20 miles to get to a grocery store.
Oh, wow.
So
kind of a culture shock then.
So my view was like, wow, Walgreens is right down the street. Cool, I can get a prescription right away if I need it. But
so my wife, we've lived here 13 years. So we did not grow up here at all. We didn't know where Streator was either. So we moved from a small town in Illinois, and we kind of had, like, when we moved here, everybody said, well, there's not very many places to eat, and the blah blah blah, and and we're like, you have places to eat? There are restaurants, there's stores, there's multiple grocery stores. Okay, that's good enough for us. Like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good to get an outside view, because I had that same experience. People were saying we don't have a whole lot here, but I saw a lot of potential, and I was very welcomed by the community when I moved here. I mean, my kids were involved for many years with softball and all the fun things in raising them in Streator. We did homeschooling for 10 years, met with all of the homeschool people, and pretty much after I was done raising the kids in 2008, I took the job at the Salvation Army. Mm-hmm. And in 2009, we opened the thrift store. And the thrift store is a heap of fun. It's all volunteers that work in the thrift store, and we enjoy that very much. It's really a convenience to be able to do out of the thrift store. Somebody needs a pair of jeans because they got a job, sure. They're going to an interview. We had a guy needing to dress up because he was going to an interview last week, and we're like, yes, so let's pick some things out for you. It's just, the thrift store is a heap of fun. We enjoy that part of it.
So you not only get to help people, but you get to hear their stories too, and that's what it seems like. Is there's so many people coming in with that need for a specific thing, and you can sit there and recount. I'm sure over the years of doing this, you can go back and recount many of these stories of, they're coming in with that story and sharing it, and you're able to make that connection, and that's great.
And people need to get their stories out. They need to have somebody that will listen to them, especially if they're living alone or they've had a crisis. They need to get that out and be able to tell somebody, somebody in there that would listen to them. So that is a lot of what we do. I have great people that work with me. We have 2 part-time employees, Steve and Judy Soulsby. Just absolutely appreciate them very much. And probably about 10 regular volunteers. Have about 3 guys that help unload our truck from the food bank. always could use another guy if they were available in the middle of the day. But on once a month, that's only once a month, but always can use a new volunteer in the thrift store if people like that. But yeah, that's one of the things I do. Many situations, we do a financial assistance. It's always with an appointment, and we spend probably close to 45 minutes to an hour when somebody makes an appointment, talking about their budget, listening to their story, because there's always something going on, and trying very hard to point them towards the one that will really answer their question, which is the Lord. I mean, the grace is what most people really need in their lives, the ability to just give it all to Him and not carry the burden and the load that so many are carrying. It breaks my heart sometimes to see how much depression is out there, and how much physical abuse is there, and how much people have borne through their young lives. See many young lives, but poverty has, over the years, I have seen some real signs of poverty, but that is just the physical part. The inner part is they need the grace of God. I am so convinced of that. Yeah. I know you guys are too, but the unmerited, you can do nothing. He gives it all to you. That's grace. Yeah. Give it to Him, and you will have a lot of inner answers to your struggles in life. I'm absolutely convinced of that. Yeah. But I've seen, like you said, I see many things at the Salvation Army. It's a faith-based organization, so faith is freely shared. Yeah. I'm happy to pray with anyone. I think prayer will lighten a load too. If you can have somebody that will just give you a heads up and say, hey, let me talk to God with you, it will make the difference. Yeah. So speaking of that difference, if you were to back out, so kind of just talking about how your work at the Salvation Army makes Streator a better place, if you were to back out and look at all of the work, all of the listening to people's stories, and having those conversations about faith and prayer, and lifting them up through that grace, how does that, in your opinion, how does that make Streator a better place? How does that make a city a better place when we are helping those in need in these struggles, in the midst of those struggles? How does that help all of us improve? And from your point of view, Streator needs the Salvation Army. They need a place to be able to walk into and express their needs. There is a lot of times I see people that say, I have no idea where to go and what to do. And like, what's the need? Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like, no problem. You need a shower? Sure. Mm-hmm. You can take a shower. But that is something that we have done more often. I think it's caught on. We have clean towels, clean washcloths, and sanitize the shower. Mm-hmm. It's just one little room with a shower in it that people can use. And to be able to clean up, where can I go clean up? Here you go. Sure. Solve that problem. Yeah, you mentioned the practical need of somebody having a job interview. Oh, yeah. If you're unhoused, if you are asking that question, saying I have nowhere to go, don't know what to do, you probably would also say I don't have anyone to turn to. A lot of people would probably say that. And so you're there in that time of need and able to walk through that, I'm imagining, walk through that process of, well, okay, you've got an interview, great. Here are some steps that you can go through to do well in that interview, to get that job. And so it's pretty easy to see then, when we talk about, we've talked several times about growing where we're planted. And so the best way to grow is to grow the place where you are planted. And so I can easily see how that's building up our worker base. That's building up, if we have more people employed, if we have, if there's
fewer people unhoused, if there's, which I love that term, by the way. I'm trying to use that instead of homeless. I think unhoused is I love how you say that. Because homelessness carries that stigma with it, that it's like, I think a lot of people look at those who are unhoused and say, well, that's their fault, whereas if you were to back up and really see the reality, it's like, well, there's all of these circumstances. They don't know where to turn to. They don't know what to do. They don't have the people in their life many times to support them. And so I think it's easy to see how that builds all of us up when we're bringing those in need to a place where they can meet those needs for themselves through healthy processes. Then it builds the whole community up.
People need to look at people not clumped together as a group.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you say homeless, you clump them all together as a group. But you can wrap it around the town of Streator, and there are that many reasons why someone is unhoused or in their situation. There's everyone is unique. If you look at people uniquely and as individuals, then that takes away some of that stereotype.
They all have their own story. They all have reasons. They all, and some better than others. Some more understandable than others. Some of them, some people it's mental health issues. Some people it's family issues. Almost always there's some sort of brokenness in a family that leads to many times in homeless and being unhoused.
And I think everyone deserves to be looked at uniquely.
Yeah,
I do too.
Like everybody has their own story, has their own circumstances, has their own life. Everybody's life is different. So I think it's important to look at everyone uniquely. And, I appreciate the Salvation Army because it does that.
Well, God made everyone uniquely.
Yeah, exactly.
Made every leaf uniquely. So God
every
is
hair in your head. Yeah.
God is in the process of making unique situations.
Yeah.
But I usually think I have seen everything, and then something new comes up, and I'm like, oh, well, okay, that's new. but yeah, I think it's a privilege to be able to do what I'm doing. I mean, I don't have the answers to every problem, but many times when a person is in crisis, I can help them walk through some steps to make some changes. Mm-hmm. So that's a privilege to be able to do that. And I enjoy people. I'm a people person.
Yeah.
I would much rather be with a group of people than sitting in a corner shuffling through a bunch of paperwork.
Yeah.
That's not fun. It's part of it, though, but because I have the responsibilities that go with a budget and keeping stats of how many are assisted. You were telling about the Salvation Army statistics before I spoke, and that is part of it. I have to count how many, because you got to look like you're doing something. If you can't say we had 400 or 500 people through the food area this month, they think, oh, you're not doing anything over there. But that's not the funnest part of the job. The funnest part of the job is being with the people and talking to people and seeing some changes in some people's lives. I've seen some really good things happen with people over the years too. Yeah. Some difficult things, but some good things too.
So with those kind of two parts of your job, working directly with people and then also working with the data, that probably gives you a good perspective on some trends, in the area, I imagine. So what would you say are some of the patterns that you see as far as in Streator specifically? Let's say, since you started your job at the Salvation Army, what's gotten better? What's gotten worse? What has stayed the same? What do you think needs attention, or do you think we're giving good attention to right now?
I think the giving part has definitely gone up. People being more generous and more giving towards what they see as an ability to help. I would like to see some cultural changes. I've always been interested in cultures and every town has a culture of their very own. And I'd like to see some cultural changes that would help people not be stuck in poverty, because some people get stuck in poverty when they ruin their health or get some, health is ruined. I wouldn't say anybody wants to ruin their health. Excuse me, let me backtrack that one. But their health goes, and stress adds to that, and addictions. If we could get a culture here going against some of the addictions that keep people in poverty, nicotine is one. If they have that happen where they get that habit at a young age, when they're older, they're stuck in poverty. I think it really adds to it. But as far as kindness, I think sometimes just a kind word towards people, and I've seen that. I've seen an uptake in that in Streator, and people wanting to participate and do things and enjoy their town, because we have to me, we have a lot to do in Streator.
Yeah.
Some people think we have nothing to do here. I think they're wrong, because to me there is a lot to do, but I'm easily entertained. I don't have to have too much to entertain me.
You probably just need some people to talk to, and you're good to
Oh
go.
yeah, give me 10 people to have conversations with, and I'm good. Sure. And I think keep building the church culture. If more people would see church, any church, as a place where they can make some friends, do some activities there, that would make loads of difference in people's lives too. And just keep building that. Keep doing what you're doing here. It's the answer. I don't know, and keep making a place where young people can make some friends there that want to do the things that are on the right side of life.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball. I hope you don't mind. But so if you were to tell someone that's never been to Streator, so if you were to go back 23 years to talk to yourself, then how would you define the culture here to yourself 23 years ago from now?
How would I describe it?
Yeah,
when it was then?
Just like if you were to describe Streator in a nutshell, what would you?
For right now, if you were going to describe Streator in a nutshell to somebody right now,
If I was describing it in a nutshell, I'd say it was a place of convenience, that there's always something to do. There's some good people that live here that are open to being your friend. Just give it a chance. Great culture of wanting. There is a good culture of wanting to live a clean life and understand that there is not always a bad answer in life. There's some very good things here.
Yeah.
23 years ago is kind of hard to think. Well, I was raising kids,
and I kind of asked that in a
ago.
weird way. I was kind of thinking your current self to your 23-year younger self, I guess is what. But that's okay. You answered great. I sorry for the curveball, but I just love hearing, people kind of put, what is Streator in a nutshell, and you answered great. And I think that was fantastic. So thank you for for diverging
you
from
hit the
plan a little
curveball.
bit. I promised no surprises, and I went off script. I'm sorry. So you talked about some of the needs and how they've changed. We've talked about those who are unhoused, those who need to hear their story heard. Are there any other needs that are prevalent that we haven't discussed? Anything that you think that needs to be addressed? You mentioned the drug problem, things like that. Anything you want to go deeper into that people can get involved in helping solve those issues here in town? Is there anything that?
Well, people can just work on the culture of being unselfish, of encouraging people to make good choices, especially when they're young. Good choices financially, good choices in their health, and good choices in their community and who they are listening to and who they're around. Just influence that to live on a positive level and try to be using what you say and what comes out of your mouth in a positive way.
Yeah.
There are some things, I'm throwing it off a little, but there are some things that the Salvation Army does that people might not be aware of. They have a huge disaster services side to them. Anywhere you see a disaster in this world, including our local community, I will absolutely never forget the 2010 tornado. It's probably after you moved here, right?
5 weeks after we moved here.
Wow.
Oh boy! Welcome to
And we live on 10th Street, so it went right by us.
I am very well aware of that path of that tornado because I was 2 years into my Salvation Army life, and that happened, and that was an incredible experience in some ways. But the Salvation Army was there. Within less than an hour, hours, they were there, and I was in the back of they call them canteens. And it did amaze me. They had parts of the city barricaded off, and you show up at that Salvation Army canteen to help people, and wow, the barricades come down.
Yeah.
But that is all over. I mean, if you see the news and there's something catastrophe happening, I guarantee you the Salvation Army is there.
Yeah.
They have it very organized, very good volunteer base for that, and I don't think they get a lot of knowledge that they're there.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get a little bit overlooked in that way.
And they're just ready to roll out too.
They are.
And you're absolutely right about those barricades coming down, because I remember we were in Havana, and so we were even wanting to come up and help, and we couldn't get in. We calling up, and it's like, well, I called up here to some people I knew, and they're like, well, they're not letting anyone into the city to help because it has to be organized. But when you have an organization like that, and you have the volunteers ready to go, and they're trained, and they have the equipment, and they have the ability, I'm not disparaging the fact that we weren't able to come up with our tiny little crew with our chainsaws that big, but what would we have done? Like, I was sitting back just feeling bad because I couldn't do anything, but because I'm a Streator boy. But yeah, it's amazing when before that disaster ever happens, you have an organization that's ready to go at a moment's notice, and so that should be acknowledged that that they're ready to go, and respected and trusted because of that, and because they've proven themselves over and over again. All over the world, not just in the States, but all over the world. So, yeah,
that I did not know about before I started working for the Salvation Army. I've had a big learning curve. When I first started, I said I'm climbing up a mountain, and sometime I'm going to figure out where the learning curve is going to peak. But I think people see need to, and they don't know what to do. The Salvation Army is a clearinghouse of knowledge of what needs can be met. I mean, we don't have every answer, but if you're sitting around saying, oh, I wish I knew what to do or where to send this person, call the Salvation Army. The phone call is the best way.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to reach me with a message on Facebook or something, but those take longer to get to, and you'll just end up with a message that says call the Salvation Army.
Yeah, just call Judy. Yeah.
Because my office assistant, she's great on the phone, and she understands how to answer a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But
and you're so right in that. So we obviously, as a church, we get a lot of benevolent requests, and so that's one of the primary ways we've worked together through Jessica Pastrick and you together, of course. And so that's always our first call. We get the information, we listen to their story, kind of figure out, okay, what do you need? But then we almost always call you first, because if you don't have a resource, who does. and many times, I'll say almost all the time, it seems like to me, but I'll say that for you. And so we know it's like it takes that question away. And so you not only know the needs, but you know that probably the most effective way to meet that need and the most efficient way at times to meet that need as well, so that the person gets what they need quicker and more fully has their needs met. So,
well, we want to be the clearinghouse, but also it's privacy. Mm-hmm. If we have somebody that comes and tells their story, and the Salvation Army helps them, we're not discussing that with the public.
Yeah, right.
If somebody wants to call and say, hey, what about Jane Doe? I think she needs help. I generally will say, that would be private. Yeah. I cannot discuss that.
Yeah.
Because privacy is important.
It is.
People don't want.
Well, they don't want dignity
that.
for people,
yes.
and
yes.
no one wants their struggles shared widely. And so in a lot of ways, just again, going back to putting yourself in the shoes of someone who's in the middle of a crisis, imagine you're struggling financially and you have to fill out all this paperwork. You have to talk to all these different companies.
Yes.
All the companies that pay your bills, or that you pay your bills to, all the companies the organizations that help with those different. There's LIHEAP, there's, we could probably say, I'm not even going to name them all. Never mind. I'm not even going to name them all. But there's all these different organizations that you are constantly in contact with, and you know how to work through their systems. And so I'll say this, if you're in the middle of a crisis, just call Judy or come find us and we'll call Judy for you, and it's so helpful just to have someone that has walked through that so many times before with you. And so, if you're going through a crisis, please just get a hold of the Salvation Army or call us and we'll get a hold of them for you. Because it's so helpful. So with that, I think we've talked about the needs, what's being met, the things that you kind of see the patterns. So what are the roadblocks? What's preventing? And you talked about the culture a little bit, so I think to go back to what you said about culture, it seems like what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it starts with us individually. We have to have our focus on good health, good finances, good attitudes, and good treatment of other people, our own kindness, those things. And we need to get those things under wraps and in the right direction. And then we can go help others do the same, and we can impact the culture around us. What are the roadblocks that you see to people doing that in the culture as a whole, but specifically with the folks that you deal with on a regular basis, and the lives that you're trying to impact through the Salvation Army? What do you see as the roadblocks?
The roadblocks for people?
What prevents people from getting their needs met in the way that
I think there is a group that isolate themselves and pride. I am all about letting people keep their dignity, not belittling anyone for being in a crisis situation, because it could be me, it could be you, it could be anyone. Circumstances change in our lives all the time. Mm-hmm. But I do see roadblocks as being, I don't want to make that phone call, I don't want to. Mm-hmm. And it's not, it's overcoming that, or waiting to the last minute.
Yeah.
I see that too, when people don't plan ahead in their situations. They just let it go, don't think about it, shove it to the side, throw their bills away, don't open that bill because that's going to be bad, or don't fix that item. Just letting things go and not staying on top of things is going to put you in a crisis situation. And doing things good, go for a walk, call a friend, enjoy your children, enjoy being with them and spending time with them and giving them the love that they need and the love in your family that you have. If you have family around here, love them.
Yeah.
Give yourself, unselfishly to them. Don't think of them as any kind of pain. They are your family. Love them. If you got some close friends, enjoy your close friends.
Yeah.
Don't neglect them. Those, I think, are barriers to that. But I don't have all the answers. Those answers are mainly in God alone. But I'm happy to be part of the Salvation Army and working there and doing what I'm doing. There's so many little things that we get to do.
Yeah.
I mean, giving a little kid a pair of shoes, or if they come in the thrift store and they want something, hey, have a book, have a little book to read.
Yeah.
Those are joyful things that we get to do just about every day. That we get to do stuff like that. We do have some upcoming events coming up. If you want to
tell us,
what those are.
if you don't mind, before
Sure.
you share the upcoming events, and maybe this
Sure.
will kind of tie into this, but how can folks in town get involved? And so maybe some of these events that they can get involved
yes.
in, but other ways too, at the thrift store, other things like that. So if you want to, whichever you want to do first, share some events or share how people can get involved. But if you want to touch on both, then.
Well, if you want to volunteer, like I said, we need a few people. Mostly the people that work in the thrift store are volunteers. Mm-hmm. They're not a paid employee. That's how we're able to keep prices. The prices in the store are $1 or something like that. That's that way because we want to assist the people in Streator with dignity and being able to just purchase something dirt cheap. And that's one of the ways we feel like we're helping people in Streator. Mm-hmm. So if you want to volunteer for that, that's great. Mm-hmm. I do really need somebody that has the ability to lift once a month, unloading the truck that we get from the food bank for food in the food pantry. That's I don't know who's out there, but if you know somebody that would like to do that, it's usually in the middle of the day, so it's kind of tricky sometimes to get people to do that. And just little things. If there's a little thing, like go through 1 million Kroger bags. Yeah. You go shopping, you want to do something with those Kroger bags, bring them in the thrift store and say hi to us. Yeah. We enjoy that too.
And shopping at the thrift store is also helpful.
Yes.
So that directly supports the mission and the ministry of Salvation Army. So
yes, it does. It does take a lot to keep a building maintained and all of the different things that you have to pay out. One of the main things we're upcoming doing is September we will be collecting coats and gloves and hats. A lot of gloves are needed. If you're thinking, what can I do? All winter long, I'm seeing people that need a pair of gloves on their hands. And that's a joy to me to be able to do those small things. To say, hey, you look cold. Let's put some gloves on those hands. Or your ears need to be covered. Let's put a hat on you. So that I see. And we will be collecting coats in September with the Rotary Club. They always sponsor the coat giveaway. And then for 2 days, the middle part of October, we will have 2 days where we give away coats on a Thursday and Friday. Then we keep giving away coats all winter long because we see people that are cold. Yeah. And I think that's just one small way we can help people is giving them a coat. So the Salvation Army has the Coats Keeping Streator Warm program as well done in Streator. We got that very organized. But if you want to volunteer for that, I will definitely take a volunteer to sort coats and see if the buttons are on, the zippers are working, and throw them in the washer if they need washed. that kind of thing. Then the major, and everybody has seen it for 100 years, and this is what keeps the Salvation Army doors open, is those bell ringers you see at Kroger and out to Walmart at Christmas time.
You knew this was not going. We were going to. We were not going to get out of this.
It was always going to come down to the bell ringing.
It's a tradition and a fundraiser. Like I had no idea. That was a learning curve too for me when I started. I probably saw bell ringers, but I didn't know what they were doing out there. But now I do. Yes, that's a big deal for us. And thank you guys. I think each of you have done that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And some of the unique things I've had with bell ringers is people wearing costumes and out there with their little kids having fun. But it is the reason you open a Salvation Army door and walk in, is because that is the big deal for us. That's the main income. I would say that's the main income that keeps the Salvation Army going.
And anyone can sign up for bell ringing, organizations, individuals. It's a great way to get out in the community. And
it's incredible. Like, that just shows the generosity of people.
Yeah.
It does.
Like,
it does.
To be your main fundraiser for this organization is incredible, because people don't have to give.
No.
Like, you can just walk by.
And you can give like what you want to give, and then you're done too. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But if you see it and you think, oh, they're begging for money, well, not exactly.
No.
It is what is keeping the Salvation Army going. And in Streator, it's all volunteers out there. Nobody's getting any kind of pay for ringing a bell. We just volunteer to do that. And you can volunteer for an hour, or a couple of hours is great. On your time schedule, day or evening. If you have a little child, I have a child now that she's 11 now, but she's been ringing bells since she was 2. And when she first started, she's active. She could do it for 5 minutes, and then Dad came and got her, and Mom finished.
Yeah.
But now she's 11 now. She's out there singing and staying for the whole hour or two. She's dressed up cute as can be in a little Christmas outfit. I've had a lot of fun with bell ringing. It does take a lot of time. So at Christmas time, it's very busy at the Salvation Army. And then
so really quick, and correct me if I'm wrong, but all of the money that's raised stays local too, I believe. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
there is a percentage that goes, 10% goes to keep the overall administration going.
Okay, but 90%
stays in Streator.
Local. Okay,
and just stays to keep that going.
Just to answer that question, because I didn't know that. You know, I didn't really ever ask the question either, but I think you mentioned that at the volunteer celebration that you have every year for the bell ringers, those who go out and ring. And I think you or someone from the Salvation Army mentioned that, all of those, 90% of those funds are used locally. And so that I think sometimes the misperception is, they're out there begging, or that, you're just sending that off to corporate headquarters somewhere. No, that's staying here, and that's impacting lives here.
Salvation Army is very local, very, very local. Salvation Army Streator is Streator.
Yeah.
If someone calls me from Ottawa or Chicago or St. Louis, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We work in Streator. The funding is in Streator. And that means South Streator, the Woodland, the Long Point area, the suburbs of Blackstone, Ransom, Kernan, Kangley.
I love how you call them suburbs.
All those suburbs are considered part of our area.
Yeah.
But when you get over to Chicago, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Chicago Salvation Army's there for you.
Yeah. But here's their number. Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
I do get a few inquiries that direction. I don't know how they get get me, but yeah.
So, and was there any other events or anything upcoming you wanted to share? Or
Well, I
ways
was
for people
going
get
to
plugged
say
in?
about Christmas angels. People that want to, at Christmas time, we assist the senior citizens in town with a food voucher to Kroger. And then there's another organization that does little kids. So the Salvation Army Angel Tree is 13 to 17-year-olds. And we take a lot of time because we want to make sure that we can do for all those people that need that. So we take the entire month of November, starting at 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock every day, and take applications for that.
Wow.
But if that time doesn't work for you, you're working or you've got some other thing going along, I will make an appointment for a Saturday morning only for that.
Yeah.
So we really try the entire month of November, but we have to have planning time. So when November's over, we stop taking applications. But that's another thing you can do. I have a lot of people that do that yearly. They'll take an angel and they will get some Christmas presents or take their kids or their grandkids and buy for somebody else, which is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
My daughter doesn't live in Streator anymore, but she always sends back an angel tree package. She'll say, "Give me an angel off that tree, Mom. I want to do that." So she was the last one. She was around when I started the Salvation Army job, so she saw a lot of the things and volunteered a lot when she was here. All my family's volunteered.
Fantastic.
That's part of it. If you start this job, the family comes along.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Absolutely. So if anyone wants to get involved, what's the best way to go about doing so?
Well, we do have a volunteer form. So if you want to volunteer on a regular basis in the thrift store, come and fill out that volunteer form. If you want to ring bells, I am starting to fill out the schedule. Just give me a call and I will be very happy to schedule you. We do have a site where you can register online to ring bells. It's called Register to Ring, and that opens up right after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
We always start with the bell ringing the Saturday before Thanksgiving. The Streator Key Club kicks it off usually. We have a few contests going, like between the Woodland Key Club, the Streator Key Club.
It's very competitive bell ringing.
Yeah, some of that people really enjoy and like to do that. And
there's worse things to be competitive about. We'll take it.
It's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to be at that banquet at the end of the year and, and to hear people hooping and hollering because they, how much was raised and by their organization and things like that.
Yeah.
And, which is fantastic. I love it. It's friendly competition, but it's for a good cause. So
you would be amazed what the public does for people that are ringing bells too. I had a lady that thought the bell ringer looked cold, so she ran into Walmart, got hats, gloves, and a scarf and wrapped them up.
I was out there with my daughter, and we were out there with several teens from our youth group ringing bells at Walmart. And this lady comes up and she goes, "Oh, thank you guys for being out here, for doing this. And you guys look cold. Can I get you anything?" We're like, "No, we're okay." 10 minutes later, she comes back with hot chocolate and hot tea, and is like, "Okay, who wants hot chocolate? Who wants hot tea?" We're like,
not turning that down. No.
Wow, it's for all these junior hires that were out there. It was fantastic. Yeah, so people do some great things out there and support you in it, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun to be a part of it. And it's all for a good cause. So. Fantastic.
It's easy too.
Yeah.
It's something easy that
you can
people
do this.
can do. and grab a friend and if you have a musical instrument that you play or you enjoy singing, that makes people happy at Christmas time too. They enjoy the bell ringers. They're a holiday tradition in this town and in the country. But that's appreciated too. If you think, all I can do is an hour, I'm busy, Well, an hour is appreciated.
Yeah.
No problem. You want to be appreciated, ring a bell.
Yeah.
Every hour counts.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it does.
Yeah.
And I will be scheduling that now. So right now, I will be scheduling with a phone call, or if you see me, I always have the schedule on me.
Alrighty.
I will be walking into a store. Somebody will be driving by, roll their window down, and say, "Hey, Judy, can I do Thursday at 5?" I'll check it and say, "Oh yeah, Thursday at 5's open. Let's go with it."
Plus you. Always working.
So that's Christmas. That's just Christmas.
Yeah.
But yeah. So start your schedule early. In October is a great time to start signing up for that. I'm a plan ahead person.
Great.
So the more I have it scheduled ahead, the less I have to think about in December and November.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for sharing that. What's the number to call?
815-672-2746.
Okay. So anybody who wants to get involved with all of these great opportunities, the coat drive, coat giveaway, volunteering at the thrift store, bell ringing, these are all great ways to make Streator an even better place. Of course, we said earlier, Judy, you said it so well, it starts with us. And I just want to thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing stories with us and for all that you do. It is really a pleasure to be able to work with you in so many facets of ministry and life in Streator. And so we appreciate you. And
thank you so much for giving your busy time, because you're a busy lady. So we appreciate it.
Well, I think the appreciation is mutual. I love what Central Church of Christ does. You guys pastoring and the call on your life. Keep it up.
Well, we will, and we're all in this together, and so jump in and join us. Thanks for joining us for the We Are Here podcast. Thanks, Judy, again, and let's go out there and make Streator a better place, an even better place to live. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.